And it's an interesting one, and so I'll provide some links down below if I remember, but I'll try and quote them. How do you think the job market and the economy in general is going to react to the increasing automation, robotization in the next decades? Which kind of measurements do you see more plausible to be taken by the governments in order to manage the job losses? Basically, this is somewhat of a fancy topic or a popular topic because academians have come up with the idea of the guaranteed income. The whole idea of a roboticized economy is that robots are going to take more and more and more of the jobs away from the humans, and then the humans, and yet they'll produce enough stuff that more and more humans can live. So what are these humans going to do? There's just not going to be enough jobs. So this then gives fanciful, not fanciful, idiotic thinking socialist professors posing as intellectuals the argument or the theory that we should have this thing called a guaranteed income. And this is a thing that professors in various liberal arts departments are circle jerking, getting all excited about, because they have somewhat of an economic reason or rationale to have another excuse to take your money.
And within a minute, you reveal that you have no idea what you're talking about and have done no research. The guaranteed income was proposed in the 1960s by libertarian economists such as Charles Murray, and not from idiotic socialist professors. Here is what Murray has to say about it, and I quote, "While a GI is not currently on the political agenda of any government, it has unique potential in years to come as the basis for a coalition of supporters from left and right. A GI is already attractive on ethical grounds for most people on the left. Those on the right of the political spectrum, including many on the libertarian right, are already reluctantly convinced that large-scale transfer payments are here to stay." Hey, Bernard Chapin, I think he's talking to you. "And are consequently receptive to ways to spending money that does not involve extensive bureaucracies and social engineering. In view of this convergence of views on GI, grand compromise is potentially available. For the left, it represents larger government in that it constitutes a state-driven redistribution of wealth, while for the right it offers smaller government in terms of the state's power to control people's lives." And he's no lone nut job either. So this is from an article from The Atlantic. The conservative case for a guaranteed income. And I quote, "The idea isn't new. As from notes, Friedrich Hayek endorsed it in 1962. The libertarian economist Milton Friedman advocated a minimum guaranteed income via the negative income tax. In 1967, Martin Luther King Jr. said, and here's a quote here, "The solution to poverty is to abolish it directly by a now widely discussed measure, the guaranteed income." End quote. Richard Nixon unsuccessfully tried to pass a version of Friedman's plan for a few years later, and his Democratic opponent in the 1972 election, George McGovern, also suggested a guaranteed income.
So to address this, first realize the idea of a roboticized economy taking jobs away from humans. It's a fallacy. It's similar to saying, well, what's going to happen when the auto industry takes away all the horse and buggy industry? We're not going to have as many jobs. Well, then you find out that the auto industry grew and employed many more people.
Imagine a pair of horses in the early 1900s talking about technology. One worries all these new mechanical muscles will make horses unnecessary. The other reminds him that everything so far has made their lives easier. Remember all that farm work? Remember running from coast to coast delivering mail? Remember riding into battle? All terrible. These new city jobs are pretty cushy, and with so many humans in the cities, there will be more jobs for horses than ever. Even if this car thingy takes off, he might say, there will be new jobs for horses we can't imagine. But you, dear viewer from Beyond 2000, know what happened. There are still working horses, but nothing like before. The horse population peaked in 1915. From that point on, it was nothing but down. There isn't a rule of economics that says better technology makes more better jobs for horses. It sounds shockingly dumb to even say that out loud, but swap horses for humans and suddenly people think it sounds about right. As mechanical muscles pushed horses out of the economy, mechanical minds will do the same to humans. Not immediately, not everywhere, but in large enough numbers and soon enough that it's going to be a huge problem if we're not prepared, and to consider. The US Census in 1776 tracked only a few kinds of jobs. Now, there are hundreds of kinds of jobs, but the new ones are not a significant part of the labor force. Here's the list of jobs ranked by the number of people who perform them. It's a sobering list with the transportation industry at the top. Continuing downward, all of this work existed in some form 100 years ago, and almost all of them are easy targets for automation. Only when we get to number 33 on the list is there finally something.
Happening is just because things become more efficient. Things have always been getting more efficient. That curve has always been going on. Does not mean there's not going to be other jobs or other whole new industries that are going to form. It's just that the focus is going to be, instead on the skullduggery and the drudgery and the boring stuff, it starts to move into easier stuff or less labor-intensive stuff. So, you know, we laid the railroads down by manual labor. Now we use machines. Well, does that mean we don't? But no, now you need people to build the machines.
Today we're unveiling our newest 3D printer, the BI version 2.0.
We've designed the 2.0 to maximize a lot of the features that are in high demand by most users. One of our primary design goals with the 2.0 was also to empower you to build your own printers. One of the key features of the 2.0 is our brand new cable drive system. This triple pulley design keeps all the parts level during the print, which automatically translates into a higher print quality.
To create a self-replicating printer with such a large build volume, we needed to go through several design iterations to reach the required rigidity. The result is a unibody steel reinforced corner.
The earlier versions had a really small build volume. That's why we've moved to a much larger 300 by 300 millimeter build volume, which allows you to build virtually any object.
A whole other industry, for example, Facebook. I can't believe that company employs people, but they do. iPhones, digital device, the PDAs, all of that. You'll create new things. So when the human mind, human time is left to have leisure, it doesn't sit idle for long until one crafty entrepreneur or somebody comes up with the idea of starting a whole new industry.
I agree. A guaranteed income would mean that people can stay at home, read, or come up with an innovation in their own free time. I'm glad we agree on something, Claire.
So there's never going to come to the point that there won't be jobs or demand for jobs. Maybe not to full employment, but just because a robot is created does not mean net-wise. Yeah, it will destroy the job. It will obsolete a job, but it will not destroy the net amount of jobs. What this does, however, as technology always has and always will and continue to do so, and maybe it's just becoming more acute as in recent, is that it's going to polarize the jobs into two general types. I'm generalizing a lot, but the trend is having this effect. You're either going to be in STEM, or those type of people that move with the economy and create and design iPods, Caterpillar trucks, all this other stuff, network systems, program code so that the harvesters on farms can harvest the crops without a driver. You're one of those people.
But with 3D printing and the internet, the copyright for products will effectively be meaningless, and as such creative industries will not be as viable for potential employees.
Or you fall into this unskilled labor. And what I like to call it is the service industry, not necessarily the service industry as normally used, but you are being of a service to an individual, or I like to call it the vanity industry, because it's really for, I wouldn't say vain, but I'm kind of using it as like kind of a backhanded insult or an open-handed punch, which I don't know why. Anyway, the point is that humans want human interaction. And some humans get off on having other humans do things for them. Now, sometimes it's socially acceptable, like wait staff. Many of you probably would prefer to pay to have a waiter give you your food, rather than have a robot order it through an iPhone or an iPad and then have someone have a runner run it out to you. Maybe you do want that service. So That's a place where unskilled people who just don't want to go and study and spend their time becoming a STEM or want to be on that advanced part of the economy.
Even STEM graduates are not thrown a plethora of opportunities at the door. When employers complain about a shortage of skills, what they really mean is that they don't want to pay much more than the minimum wage. Regardless, there are many fields whereby machines are more preferred than humans. Supermarkets, for instance, have self-checkouts, and I use them instinctively. I don't have to deal with anyone or feel embarrassed when I have to put something back, for instance. Similarly, at restaurants, people get pissed off waiting for the bill. Sure, there will be some occupations or fancy restaurants that will employ labour, but that will only be a novelty.
They asked why Prince of Saudi Arabia, one of 36, when he hired our security team, we weren't needed. You want to know why he hired us? So he looked like a badass. It was all for show. He just wanted a bunch of guys in suits armed to the hilt.
Great. So instead of using productivity to stay at home and spend time with the family, we will, according to Clarey, be a sort of peasant class following around billionaires and prostituting ourselves because that is better than big evil socialism.
And then sometimes, and here's, I wrote a piece on it, the economics of the robotic economy, or the economics of roboticization, or robots, or something like that. Look it up.
Yeah, look it up for yourself, because Clarey couldn't be bothered to look it up before making this video, that he's been paid for, by the way. But continue.
It's on Capitalism. The other thing, knowing how human nature is, the world's oldest trade is going to become more and more emphasized, or more people focus on it, because that is a trade, no matter how much people want to argue about it. Mostly men do pay for sex, women do pay for sex too, but in either case, as more and more time, leisure, money, resources are freed up, more and more money is going to be going to the pursuit of what your biological imperative is, primarily for the men, and that is you're going to go and get hoors. And that, again, is a vanity play. You can't pay a robot. And I know there's some people talking about, well, we'll make robot women someday. And, okay, fine. Until that day comes, I'm just saying, you're going to probably want to pay for the company of a lady.
Whilst I agree with the legalization of prostitution, this has to be the most depressing and misanthropic thing you have ever said, and that is saying something. Your videos started off well-meaning, warning of what degrees not to do, and seem to have become more mean-spirited as they get on.
You're in that, you're not in the frontier of the new economy, and you're going to be in the service economy. And guess what? There's going to be a lot more people in those industries, increasing, and your pay is going to suck. And now I know that it may not be rewarding financially, it may not be rewarding in terms of ego, but tough fucking shit. You don't work hard, you don't go after a rigorous discipline, you don't go out in a rigorous field, you get to be a barista.
If people don't have money to spend, then how is the economy going to move and grow? What makes you think the average person is going to accept being made obsolete and not get mad when there is so much wealth? By saying tough shit, you conservatives actually bring about the conditions for a communist revolution. Want respect for property rights? Then you have to pay the masses off. It's that simple. If you don't, then you capitalist classes have to kill off the masses, because the masses will not accept to be made into prostitutes or destitute working poor.
Severe. You really will get the, here's your science, technology, engineering, here's your low-level skills, okay? And that's where the majority of people, unless they decide to kick ass and take names, that's where the majority of people are going to fall.
The majority of people will not accept this, Clarey.
You will think that your ego will tell you deserve something better. No, you don't. You just got hoodwinked. You voted for socialism, you believe Democrats, you be left. I hate to make it political, that's what it is.
And you are defining socialism as what exactly? Well, you aren't defining it as nationalisation of industry, that's for sure. Which, whatever you call it, it isn't. Industries have been privatised left, right and centre. The majority of Americans wanted a single-payer insurance, but instead they got Obamacare, which gives the parasite insurance companies free rein to do nothing other than be a middleman. How exactly does one define capitalism anyway? There never was a capitalism. There was always some sort of regulation. In capitalist economies, and many of which are actually advocated for by corporations to freeze out competitors, This system is neither capitalist nor socialist, it's corporatist.
That guaranteed income thing comes in. That's the most common response. It's stupid because if you're going to guarantee an income to everybody, the communists tried that. And guess what? Nobody works. It's like, fuck it. And I guarantee you guarantee me an income, I won't work either. Maybe I'll do a little bit of this to supplement it.
First of all, there are many different variations of guaranteed income, with some utilising negative income taxes or have some sort of conditions on them. Regardless, I'm going to quote a paper from Pasma and Mulvae about the income experiment of the 70s. The program selected families with low income to benefit from the NIT, although it's included a control group that was not eligible for benefits. 3 support levels were tested: $3,800, $4,800, and $5,800 for a family of 4, with adjustments for different family sizes and structure. The tax-back rates were then applied to all income. The family received, and the minimum benefit rate is 55%, 50%, and 75%, with the most generous and least generous scenarios not tested. The study found that the effects on work incentive was very minimal. An annual reduction of hours worked are at 1% for men, 3% for married women, and 5% for unmarried women. The project demonstrated that GAI is possible from an administrative point of view, but the challenges of administration were underappreciated at the beginning. By the way, the administrative problems were largely due to underfunding of the studies, but regardless, as you can see, it barely affects the amount of hours worked, and many of the reasons why the hours were reduced was because women were taking care of their children, which I know you like, Aaron Clarey. You put it in a video on the economics of women being in the workplace, something on those lines. So that's a good thing. And as for men reduced, I think the reason why it reduced for men was because more men went into college or something, they got an education. But regardless.
But I wouldn't work. Why the fuck? You're an idiot to work. And then that includes, and sadly, it's not just your service people that go away, and your hooters, and your wait staff, and your theater majors. It's your STEM guys. They're saying, wait a minute, I can make this much, and you're going to guarantee my wife makes that much? And well, if we get kids, they got a guaranteed income too. Fuck, why work? Why create vaccines? Why create iPhones? We're done. And then
the point of guaranteed income is to provide enough to survive, not to be wealthy. Regardless, if people stop working, then wages will rise, making it more attractive, which is probably why there is so much resistance to it. People create because we like to create. It's that simple. People save lives because they like to save lives. It's not complicated. Besides, what is the long-term value in being a billionaire's goon or a prostitute?
Concept being this $10,000 gives you enough to live off of, because we have a lot of useless people that can't do anything productive. And unless if you want them riding in the streets, you need to do something about them. Give them a basic income. Shuts them up, keeps them fed, keeps them happy. And then if they want money on top of that, if they want to get the brand new Nike sneakers, or if they want to get the energy drink, or whatever other horseshit poor people are buying nowadays, they can go find some sort of job. They'll work at McDonald's for 10 cents an hour, $1 an hour, because it lets them buy those sneakers. They have an incentive to work all of a sudden. And the whole point of this, because if you're a free market economist, if you're an Austrian economist, you're going to say, well, this is going to disincentivize people from working. That's exactly the point. We need fewer people in the workplace. That's one way to solve this economic crisis. And this economic crisis, as much as it's the proximate cause is bad housing debt, the ultimate cause is that there's just not enough room for stupid people in our economy anymore. So yes, you want to disincentivize people to work. Lower the work week to 35 hours. Create more room for more people to have jobs. Our technology is at the point where we don't need to be working 60 hours a week. In fact, it's destructive. This is no longer technology creating jobs, it's destroying jobs for the stupid, and only leaving a few positions available for the super intelligent.
Anyway, that's it. If you have a video request, I'll try and look up the video. I think it was the economics of the robotic economy. Look that up, and I think I had another article somewhere. But look it up. You can find it there. If you have a video request or a question or want consultation, you can go to assholeconsulting.com. And yes, people under 25, it seems odd you don't get this, you will pay me.